Welcome, everyone. This is Elsie Kerns, your Chaos to Clarity coach and energy medicine teacher. And at lunchtime today, I have the privilege of being with Tony Talale, and he is the CEO of Brassica Tea and Baltimore Coffee and Tea Company in Baltimore. And they have been licensed by Johns Hopkins University to actually sell their Brassica tea, which has that very special component, registered trademark TrueBroc in it. So Tony, welcome. I'm delighted to have you here.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm delighted to be here too.
Great. Well, what I wanted you to first help us understand, because this is a big topic today, is how important antioxidants are to our own health and wellness.
Mm-hmm. Well, antioxidants are a product of basically any kind of living that the human body does. Whatever happens at the cellular level produces oxidants, because it's a function of energy being produced and energy going out to the other cells in the body. And antioxidants by necessity are not necessarily bad. I mean, oxidants aren't necessarily bad. You need some of them, and they trigger functions in the body and so forth. But if you have too many antioxidants, then you overwhelm the system, and the system is not able to neutralize them. So antioxidants play an important role in keeping the body in balance and making sure that the levels of these things don't overwhelm the cells, which have these natural mechanisms to protect against them, but which need help. Sometimes need help.
Well, Tony, I understand that actually Johns Hopkins University, they really found these compounds and have been researching them since 1990. So this isn't something that just happened, but that broccoli is really the king of help me say that.
Glucoraphanin. GR for the GR for those of us that aren't scientists.
Yeah, when you said GR, we could use that instead.
Right.
So tell us a little bit about that, because
Sure. Well, I mean, first of all, let me kind of clarify this whole thing about discovering this GR and so forth. Nature makes these compounds. These are plant compounds. Nature has always made this plant compound. It has a protective effect for the plants. I mean, the plants, of course, have to protect themselves because they're not like animals. They can't run away from predators and so forth. And in fact, this compound, we believe, has plant protection against small predators and insects, is why the plant has it. So they didn't really, the scientists at Hopkins, one of whom actually is my father, who just retired from the lab at 95 this past year, at age 95, they didn't really invent this. What they did was they studied the system by which these compounds boost our enzymatic functions in the body, our natural detoxification systems. So they identified the specific components, specific plant chemicals that did this glucoraphanin, which converts to sulforaphane. So it was always thought for thousands of years, we've understood that plants had medicinal properties for humans. And what there really wasn't an understanding of in this particular case, there was a lot of understanding that the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy, Brussels sprouts, and so forth, had potentially beneficial health effects, but nobody really understood why. And it wasn't just because it was plant and it was natural. It turns out, as I said, these plants, for their own health, make these compounds, which are natural pesticides or natural protectors for them. So, and what the scientists began to understand was that human body has a whole series of overlapping processes at the cellular level that protect cells from damage, because we're in everyday living, we're being assaulted by chemicals and air pollution and UV light and everything. And no matter how healthy we try to lead and protected we try to leave our life, things are going to go and damage cells. And the body has a very effective mechanism for doing that with overlapping system of enzymes that boost these protective processes. But they also learned that people don't always have the same, their enzymes aren't working at the same activity, and we could in fact boost that activity by giving these plant chemicals, and they essentially enhance the body's own natural ability to protect itself.
So they're actually helping us detoxify as much as possible. And as you said, as much as coming in every day, no matter what we try to do, we're being, hit with this onslaught of everything around us. Now, I know that you use these special broccoli seeds. Mm-hmm. And we were just talking about that before we started the broadcast. And I thought that was interesting of mm-hmm. how you developed the tea and the coffee from these seeds. Can you mm-hmm. help us understand that?
Sure. Happy to tell you about that. I mean, one of the things that we thought was very important coming with our heritage from an important research institution was that our products would always deliver what they said they would. And one of the findings of the scientists was early on was that broccoli in and of itself was extremely variable with respect to how much of this glucoraphanin it had in it, how much sulforaphane it could produce when it was eaten. And they went out to supermarkets all around Baltimore, and they got 25 samples, and some broccoli was 9 or 10 times more potent or had higher concentrations of these compounds than others. And unfortunately, there was no way for the person in the store to be able to see that. It wasn't that it was the organic, it wasn't that it was the color looked really green, or the crowns of the broccoli looked really beautiful, or anything like that. It turned out you really had to go into the laboratory and test those things. So one of their insights was that to try to understand that. They didn't just say, okay, well, it's a natural variation. It turns out that there are many subtypes of broccoli. There are 60 or 70 that are grown into broccoli plants, and some of them naturally have higher levels of these compounds. And they're not always the ones that are grown in our gardens or in California or in the where we get broccoli in our supermarkets all over the country. So what we did was we surveyed all of these different varieties, these 60 or 70 varieties, and picked a few of them that naturally, there's no modification or anything here, it's just the seeds that have developed over time, had higher levels of these. And it's almost, it's not actually an heirloom broccoli, but it's the same concept, which is that some seeds grow to have, better taste and better color and better fruit than others. And in this case, we selected the ones that had higher levels of glucoraphanin in them. But in order to make sure that what we did is delivered this to consumers, again, the plant has some of it in it. We started growing these particular types of broccoli in a specific area in California, in Southern California, that's well known for seed growing. And we can put our seeds in the ground every year. They grow up, we get a consistent crop every year, and we harvest those particular seeds. And then we have a source that a reliable source of the compound, and then we make an extract, and it's a simple water extract of those broccoli seeds. The seeds contain the highest amount, and that then goes into our coffee and tea. The idea there is that because we control the seed supply and it can grow very reliably, and we can warehouse and so forth, we can depend on getting glucoraphanin, the right amounts of glucoraphanin in those seeds.
Well, I have chosen the tea that has the orange flavored decaf green tea, and it's really delicious. And I understand that just one tea bag per day really equals how much broccoli, how many broccoli sprouts? A whole container?
Almost, not quite. We have, if you had 2 tea bags in a day, that would represent half a cup of sprouts, pretty much. And again, this whole, I don't want to belabor the point about standardization, but, depending on whether the grower grows the right seeds and so forth and so on. But our job was to say, let us put in each tea bag. And basically what we did was we said, let's pair our ingredient with a product that people like already, that we know is healthy. Tea was perfect for this, and tea bags are easy to carry around. So we use a specialty tea vendor here in Baltimore who imports the teas, and we mix it with our extract. And so each one of those little tea bags has as much of the glucoraphanin antioxidant as you would get in 3 ounces of full-size broccoli.
Wow. Now I know,
and it tastes, and fortunately we managed. For those of you out there who don't like the taste of broccoli, when we extract it. Some of us love broccoli, but some of us don't. The way we extract it allows us to eliminate the taste and the odor pretty much, so that which don't happen to contribute to the chemical strength of the product. So.
Well, I got the decaf, and I noticed on your site that you point out that all of your decafs are decaf naturally as well. And I know people have written to you, or how do they tell you they feel after using these products? It's in the coffee too as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, one of the things that's a little bit it's a little bit difficult about this is that this is not like an aspirin or something that you take and all of a sudden your headache goes away. What we're really trying to do is boost the body's underlying protective systems. So some people would feel a little different, maybe, but more importantly, what we're doing is allowing the cells in the body naturally to protect themselves to a higher level. So, and we know this from clinical work. It's just hard to measure this in terms of it's not like you're going to have caffeine and you're going to jump up and be energized. On the other hand, teas are wonderful, and I had some tea this morning because I had a little bit of a sore throat, and so I had some tea and some honey and some Brassica tea, and it's obviously great to hydrate and to drink as many beverages as you like. So it's we wanted to kind of fit it into people's lifestyles, what they were doing already, and make it easy for them to get the TrueBroc.
Today, everything that we can do to boost our immune system, and with something as simple as and as enjoyable as a cup of tea, really does make sense. And I can understand now why you call your line Brassica Protection Products. I noticed that.
When I came up with the name originally, people thought we were an alarm company or a pest control company, and I'm like, no, we're protecting against the body. We're boosting the body's own protective systems against disease. So
I know that people can buy the box, and is it best to go on your Baltimore Coffee and Tea website or the TrueBroc site, which is they're a little bit different?
Either way, the TrueBroc site is, you can go directly to www.truebroc.com, TrueBroc. You can also go to Baltimore Coffee, that's www.baltcoffee.com, which is the company that makes it for us. It's the same product. if you go to Bulk Coffee, you can buy many other kinds of delicious teas and coffees from them. From us, you can only get Brassica teas and coffees. So you know, we're still small enough that we fulfill all these orders out of our office here in Baltimore, and you know, we try to pay attention to every customer.
So just to go back a little bit, you mentioned your brother.
No, my father.
Oh, he was in research
Right.
at Johns Hopkins.
That's right.
He retired at what age did you say?
95.
That's what I thought. Wow, he must have been drinking your tea.
Well, he only discovered, you know, this in the 90s, so only in the last third of his life but he was always a huge tea drinker. He was educated for part of his secondary school in England, so he got the tea habit there. But yeah, no, these researchers, I mean, the interesting thing to me about these researchers is these were not guys who said, oh, I'm really interested in natural products and I'm really interested in vegetables and, you know, I'm organic. They were very, very heavy practiced molecular scientists, and they were responsible for teasing apart how do these enzyme pathways work in the body. And originally, they didn't even work with fruits and vegetables. They worked with synthetic compounds that boosted these. And then they spent many, many years developing an assay to quantify, to actually measure this activity, not only the content, but also was it raising the enzyme levels? Were they working better for you? And it was only after and because they were very careful scientists, and they took them many years to work this out, and in fact, it took 7 or 8 years perfecting the assay. And then people said, well, you know, you ought to test all these natural products that people say are good. You know, why don't you do that? And so then they went out and they surveyed the whole vegetable kingdom and started focusing on the cruciferous or the brassica vegetables.
But they did discover that broccoli sprouts were really the king of this GR and the sulfur. Right.
That's F, yes. No, that's right. I mean, and all of these plants contain wonderful, you know, an admixture of wonderful things. I mean, we love adult broccoli. Adult broccoli has vitamins. It has fiber in it. I mean, we are never saying, we take the idea, the word supplementation, the idea of supplementation literally, which is it's not substitution. It's not, hey, you can drink this tea or take this pill containing the ingredient instead of eating broccoli or a healthy diet. This is a way to be sure that you're getting a measured, standardized amount, and we can't always get that from broccoli because we don't always know what we're getting. Yeah, they tested the whole. They tested all the different vegetable families, but the whole cruciferous family, the cauliflowers and the Brussels sprouts and so forth, watercress, they found that the broccoli had the most amounts of these things, and then we were fortunate to identify that there were some naturally had very high levels with it. Again, I mean, all of these plants, I mean, the whole cruciferous family, the cauliflowers and the Brussels sprouts and all those things are also wonderful, and they have smaller amounts of these compounds, and each plant has a little different mixture. But we focused on broccoli because there's a lot of broccoli consumed in the U.S. and we thought that was the way to focus us. And you know, there were some famous people who made a big deal about not liking broccoli, so we thought we better get on broccoli's side and help out.
And I would also mention to everyone that Johns Hopkins University also has a number of YouTubes that detail this very scientifically, and you know how a lot of the research came about this if you're interested in that scientific approach. So Tony, it was just a pleasure to be with you. I love my Brassica tea. I drink it every day. And I'm so glad you joined us to explain exactly how you came about this and created, I like that name, Brassica Protection Products.
Elsie, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. And I hope to see you again soon.
I hope so too. I'm not that far from Baltimore, so next time I'm down there, I'll look you up.
Come on by.
Okay, and thanks to Erica for all her help behind the scenes as we set this up. Okay, everyone, this is Elsie Kerns and wellnesswithelsie.com, and I just wanted to bring you another educational way to help your immune system and have Tony at Brassica Tea explain that to us beautifully the way he did. Thanks again, Tony. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Thanks so much, and thanks for doing such a good job educating people about healthy things they could do, because it's so important that we all do that.
Thanks. Well, I love doing this. And Denise, Diane, Karen, there are a bunch of people that have joined us, and I'll make sure both of those links are up as soon as I'm off. Okay, everyone, let's hope the sun comes out.